Hello, fellow enjoyers of the AFL. The full squad is back, and we're going to do a traditional ladder prediction, which is, it's the third one, believe it or not, lads.
Yes, season 3.
That's it.
Should we go back and see our previous bad ones, or just bury it? And
No,
not
let's not talk about those.
It's the general rule to never go back and look at our previous episodes.
No. Fun fact, ever since we started the pod, the Premiers have not made the finals the year after. And we've probably put them first or second.
Yeah, true. So there we go. Brizzy, not top 8. Just the quick spoiler right there.
In about 3 minutes, we're going to just go back on that one.
Legit. No, bad. But look, before we start, we're looking at doing maybe a tipping competition this year where the top 3 get AFL Enjoyer t-shirts. So stay in tune for that one. I'm sure, the highly coveted t-shirts, that you see in the intros. Yeah, free merch, exactly right.
You wear those t-shirts, man. Your coolness is elevated. Mm-hmm. I don't know what other word to use.
It just says AFL Enjoyers, right? It's the one in the intro.
That's all, yeah.
The one
you
that
might
we're
get
wearing.
stopped on the street. Yeah. People take some photos with you.
Exactly. So you got basically free advertisements for us. So thanks, guys. But anyway, traditional format where I start and I give the first pick. Are we just going to go straight into it, or do you want to?
Yeah, so you just give us your number 1. George will go who's second. I'll go who's third.
And this is a very early ladder prediction that might change before the season starts, as we haven't gotten any kind of preseason games information.
Well, apart from the Indigenous
which we
All-Stars game, which...
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either.
I watched about the first quarter and a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simpkin just dominating.
Simpkin dominated. So
he's the man, bro, and he's going to play forward pocket for us. So it's going to be interesting, man.
North stacked.
We're stacked, bro. We're stacked.
That's a precursor to putting North 8th or something on this ladder.
So with the number 1 pick... So first on the ladder will be North Melbourne. Look, I'm happy I'll get a start unless you guys...
I will say, so just on that note, so that's the only one of 3 games that have happened, like yesterday, basically. So
Essendon Bulldogs.
Essendon Dogs, North's intra club, a couple other intra clubs.
Adelaide, I think, had an intra club,
I only watched the North one. So there's not much data here. It's very early, like we said. So we'll probably do another one before the season starts.
Probably,
we could probably correct it or, revisions.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll start it off. And for me, number 1 is going to be Geelong.
Oh.
So I've gone with the Cats, and George already looks upset at me for ruining... Look, my thing with Geelong is I think they'll be chomping at the bit this year to get into the finals. They're very close to get into to get to the grand final. They got very close last year. They have the 8th easiest draw.
Okay.
And I think considering Geelong, they know how to win games. They don't need it to get any easier for them. So I'm putting them there. I like their versatility in the defense, in the ruck position. What are they going to do? They're going to put De Koning. They're going to put Blitzarves. You add Bailey Smith. Holmes goes another level. I think there's a lot right there. A little bit of natural progression of a guy like Shannon Neal as well as a key forward post. I think there's a lot of growth there for that team. Lawson Humphries as well. I'm just going to keep naming players until you guys stop me.
It's a fair point. So my one thing with them, though, is talk me through their forward line. So Cameron's getting on a little bit. Hawkins is gone.
I'm not gonna.
I'm not suggesting he's past it. I'm just saying he's their best forward.
Yeah.
Who's going to step up as the number 2?
Shannon Neal. You heard it here first, mate. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Look, I think for them, it's never really been that they needed their forwards to step up. It's just a committee type deal with them, where it's, Holmes will push the ball forward and get into the goals. Maybe Paddy Dangerfield gets into the forward line a little bit more, And he always, even though he's old, he still produces as well. So, yeah.
I think I had Geelong in the top 8. I had them 7th. But
really?
Same here, I had them 6th.
I think they're going to be quite a good team. And you're right, we kind of wrote them off a couple of seasons ago, and they found a way always to rejuvenate their list and always pick up agents like Bailey Smith for relatively good prices. So, I think they're going to be quite good this year, and I think Bailey Smith will add to their midfield depth. They're just a team that is always around it. They do have their home ground advantage. I think they could surprise a lot of people. I'm not sure first I think is appropriate, but I definitely see them as a pretty good team this year. So,
fair enough.
No, good shout. I mean, like we sort of said in the beginning, there's the team who makes the finals or grand final. We've tipped them to come first, and it never happened. So I like the way of going for the riser. I like it.
Look, you say riser, but they were 3rd last year.
Yeah,
and then they haven't gotten worse. So I can't really see why. Look, they surprised us last year. Why can't they surprise us again and just go a little bit further up? No. You know what I mean? So there we go. My first pick there.
Nice.
Number 2.
I'm just going to go for the boring pick that we've alluded to, is Brisbane.
Okay.
I know that there is a bit of a trend of the last couple of years, but Brisbane, I don't see any reason why they'll get any worse. They add another Ashcroft to the list. The only kind of downside from them is Danaher going down or retiring. And he's a very versatile player, and no one really plays like Joe Danaher. He's himself. So what did they try and find another tall target to kind of replace his role? He's not going to be quite the live wire that Danaher is. But apart from that, I mean, Lincoln McCarthy comes back from an injury. Keaton Coleman will get games this year and a half-back line. So there is, even Duday was injured.
Yeah,
he comes back in. So there's a couple of players that didn't get an opportunity last year. They come in and probably make the team better, or at least definitely not worse.
Yeah.
And it's Brisbane, still star-started midfield. I don't see any reason why they're any worse.
Yeah.
And they won last year, so I think top 4 is very reasonable. And I mean, they won the flag off a roller coaster over a year. Consistency is going to be the name of the game for anyone that finishes top 4.
Yeah.
But I think they're up to it, so that one kind of makes sense.
And they not only win the flag, but they finish 5th in the end off a really horrendous start.
Yeah.
So just a mediocre start gives them that top 4 shout.
Yeah.
Maybe, and
true.
higher. So
True.
They didn't have the Gabba home ground advantage last year.
yeah, so
If they can refine that,
which is
Yeah.
more likely than not,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I say they do have the hardest draw this year, though. Apparently,
Usually,
according
the
to-
premiers should
which
have.
makes sense. But I think my only reason why I didn't pick them first is because I'm thinking the Danaher situation matters, right? Also, a few of their players like Kitty Coleman and Duday, they're not going to be in the team until
straight away, yeah.
They're not going to be in there straight away. They probably, I think they just need a bit of time to adjust back into it. Long season for them as well,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm actually keen to see how their midfield goes this year. Obviously, Neil and McLuggage and these guys, Dunkley, but then you've got the Ashcroft brothers. Levi's ready to contribute right away,
Yeah.
and we know what Will is. So, and he's only getting started as well. So I'm pretty excited.
We
to see
also
how that
saw the rise of Kyle Lohman, Logan
Yeah,
Morris. Archie has had a really good season last year. It took a long time for him to get there, but he's kind of established himself finally. There's a lot of every line has talent, man.
Plus, as well, they've been going for that final for years now, missing out prelims and so forth.
Yeah.
So now that they've won it, I wonder what that looks like. Is it extra confidence and just resilience? Is there a down year to come? I'm more willing to agree with you than not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard to know how the motivation changes.
yeah,
It probably, I don't know, they're human beings, so they've been chasing that for that whole time. If they get it, are they as desperate? Maybe not. You probably have to be at your absolute most desperate to win it. So,
yep,
but yeah, I think they're top 4, man. Surely.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
nice one. So last night I was talking to Matta, and I was kind of like, man, why is everyone rating the Giants? And I was thinking in my head I don't see it. They've lost a few players like Perryman and so forth, Peatling. Who have they replaced them with? And then I was thinking about it properly this morning. I've got them in 3rd now.
I had them there as well.
So for me, the one thing I didn't really calculate when I was originally thinking about them, I for a moment forgot how good their defense is.
Yeah.
All right, Whitfield back in his appropriate role, it seems. Midfield, we know the class that's in there. Callahan should get better. And then you got the big boys like Green and hopefully Coniglio's fit and all these guys. But then I thought Hogan only really came back to prime Hogan last year, which is a gun player, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Cadman.
Yeah.
Just quietly had a decent year last year. And he will get better. So if he's running up the ground, being more that Cameron type, push up the ground half forward, and then you got Hogan deep, Green's still there. They've got incredible small forwards.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking to myself, based on how they finished the year, in the regular season, I think if they can replicate that form all year, because they were similar to Brisbane, didn't have the hottest of starts. Not as bad as Brisbane, but we always seem to say with them, first half of the year, what are these guys? And then they always finish strong. So I think if they can just tighten up at the start, top 4 is well on the cards for me. I actually had them first, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I did a
Whoa.
180 from last night.
You
That's
really did,
yeah.
bro. You really did.
Funny what a bit of thinking could do, but yeah. I don't know. I think they can do it. They've got the right amount of veteran leadership mixed in with electrifying young players to do it. So I don't know. We'll
That's
see.
fair. I think a bit for them is riding on. Is Briggs going to be in form? Is Green going to be playing? Well, Green, it's going to be guaranteed. He's going to be consistent. But who's going to be the second man to him? I know Cogs has had a bit of injury trouble in the preseason. Callahan's playing in the guts now. Finally there's a spot for him there.
Yeah.
With Peatling going and really just peeling. Otherwise, I don't know who else is taking that spot. I think Brent Daniels is probably going to get a bit of midfield run as well. And
Great year last year.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he's a gun.
Well, they lost Cumming, Peatling, Perryman, and Nick Haynes, right? Now, Nick Haynes, you'd say just a random depth player. The other three, Cumming hasn't played a lot of football the last couple of years. Peatling came into the scene. And Perryman has been a role player.
Yeah.
So I think for them, if their good players are fit and firing, then I think they could do anything.
Yeah.
They are. I guess every team is subject to a couple of injuries affecting them, but if they have lost a little bit of depth, that could affect them if a couple of their key players go down. But yeah, I see them being pretty dangerous. Another year under their game plan, which it took them a little bit of time to kind of get that kind of really fast, aggressive football playing again last year. But now they've got another preseason under that system. And then the other person we haven't talked about, I don't know if he'll have an impact, is the package. Jake
I was
Stringer.
just about to say,
Yeah.
Apparently he's really fit.
he wasn't in my calculus, but the guy kicked how many, like 40 odd goals last year
Yeah, he did.
on a Essendon team that underwhelmed. And we know that when he's motivated, he can be very good,
Yeah, true.
which it seems like if he is on a good team, forwards like him like really feed off that attacking energy and like obviously winning football. So he could be a wild card too. So you got Cadman doing his thing, developing. Hogan, we know what he is now, looking fitter than ever, like maybe even better than last year.
Yeah.
And then the package just sort of X factor. I don't know. I think
Callum Brown as well is a pretty athletic player. Riccardi's a
best
depth
song
player.
as well. Callum Brown, he does the he has the song at the
That's a
end,
song.
for the goal song, the Mexican song. It's amazing.
Chuck it in the outro.
Yeah, no, I should. Probably get copyrighted, but worth it. Yeah, no, fair call. I'm surprised the 180 there. Then I'm surprised, but
Yeah, I don't know.
usually you're
Last
pretty
night I
stubborn with decisions like that. But
No, I'm stubborn when I think I'm right.
nah, fair
When I know I was just talking a bit of shit, I can take a step back and
Fair
correct
enough.
myself. So
all right, fair enough. All right, so I'm rounding out the top four then.
you are.
Yeah, and I don't know if this pick is going to be as controversial to you guys as my first one, but I've gone with Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not controversial for me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Now I feel better now. So my thing with Sydney, so I actually had them second. So with Sydney, I just think that they haven't really lost much from last year player-wise, like personnel-wise, pretty much the same. Mills is going to go into the midfield. He'll be extra motivated. I think the only really question on them is, it's a new coach. Are they going to be able to adapt to his systems fast enough? Look, I feel like he was probably already involved in the game planning.
He was
anyway.
already there,
Like,
right? Yeah.
Mate,
It's assistant going to senior, so it's a bit different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we always see Coxie in the box there. You know what I mean? He's always there. What's it called? Yeah. So I just think, there's no reason for them to drop off. They'll have that bit of motivation for getting smashed in the final as well. I would say as well. But yeah, it's a strong midfield group, man. Like if Mills goes in there again now, he was an All-Australian mid. Heaney, Warner, Goulden, it's very, very strong. Robodden, we forget about him. Question is key positions as well.
Yeah, no, makes sense to me. I'm not going to drop them. I had them sort of top four as well. I'm not dropping them off simply due to the grand final. They were great last year.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't just great; they were the best team all year. They had a little bit of a patch towards the end of last year where they slumped a bit, but they were just rolling teams and were the clear best for pretty much the whole year. That doesn't just go away.
No.
Yeah. The 9th easiest draw for them as well.
Oh,
it's
really?
Not, so it's like, so it's not too bad considering you're minor premiers and, you're in the middle pack for draw difficulty, helps them out as well.
Yeah, that's very generous, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's always interesting about that because they say it's the easiest draw, but then random teams become good that you thought were bad.
Yeah, of course.
True.
Not always linear, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And this Fox Footy, or Fox Sports, whatever it was, article, who knows, maybe they suck at math, you know what I mean? And they just didn't get it right. But,
It's always possible.
Yeah, true. Or maybe this is from last year, who knows? Nah, I doubt it.
All right, so my turn now.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep, 5th spot. Who you got?
We'll go Baggers. I had him fourth. I had him fourth. You guys stooged me. Put him fifth. Look, Carlton is almost no doubt to be a good team this year, but the question with them is always their ability to just stay consistent throughout the whole season. Right? There's going to be a headline where Carlton at some point in the season is the flag favourite. It's always that case. But do they dive? Do their players stay fit? These are more of the questions. For me, it seems like they've had a relatively strong preseason injury-wise. I mean, it's hard to say that when Nick Newman goes out with the ACL, but some of their players, that a little bit injury prone or haven't had the best preseason in the last couple of years are kind of fit and firing. And it does seem like, and this is going to be a topic of conversation throughout the whole year with the small forwards, that some of them actually improved a bit, like Motlop being one of them. Apparently Fantasia's had the best preseason of his career. If you're relying on these type of players, maybe it's still warning signs already, but we'll see how we go.
Zach Williams, you playing half forward still? Or?
He's playing half forward. He played half back in the Indigenous game, but I think with Newman going down, maybe his role changes a bit, but I think he'll be more of a half forward. Jagger Smith comes in. He'll probably play round 1 and for the rest of the year. How does he kind of perform? But yeah, I think in general, the team is consolidated. It's under the same system for many years. And even players like Adam Chera are kind of having their best preseason. Walshy should be all right for round 1. There's no reason why this team isn't good. And this is the discussion we've had in the last couple of years is they've got all the pieces. Can they put it together? But, I think they need to be gunning for top 4. I think they can do it. But it'll be an interesting ride, man, as Carlton always is. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I had Carlton 8th, actually.
Okay.
Only because of competitiveness in the competition.
It is very competitive.
I had them 6th.
6th,
So round them up.
Reasonable, yeah.
Fair enough.
For me, you just mentioned every point I would make in terms of the inconsistency and certain roles that, you seem like obviously in the preseason, like it looks like maybe they're working on it. I'm sure they are, but yeah, I don't know. You're going to have to just win those close games because you will be in a lot of close games. And then those games where you blow teams out like you have been in the last few years, like keep doing that. And then a couple more of the close ones gets you top 4 basically. Yeah.
And at that point, it's just individual brilliance. There's Cripps and Walsh and Kerner and Mackay. It's those guys that they get you over the line.
Which they've done over the last couple of years. Look, it's a tough competition. You've got to win a lot of games to be top 4 these days because it's so even.
Who's alongside Wiedering these days in that
I
defense?
think an interesting one here. Sorry to cut you off, Georgie, but Nick Haynes.
Yeah, well, Nick Haynes has been brought in for depth.
Exactly. I think he's best back 6 for you guys. Surely,
I think he'll play. I mean, Silvani's been played in the back line now. McGovern's still there. So those are probably the key players.
Yeah, I think I think Nick Haynes could be astute if he because he was an All-Australian only 3 or 4 years ago or something.
Nick Haynes is interesting because he had a lot of health issues over the last couple of years that affected his ability to play. Like he was having all these gut issues and these type of things where like he couldn't eat properly, he couldn't train. So
just give him the tea, bro.
Yeah, he needs some Chinese tea actually. But it seems like he sorted it out. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Shout out to him for that.
Shout out to him. So look, I feel like you look around the best 22 and there's good players everywhere. Again, it's just about like they have these patches in the last couple of seasons where they're so good and then they're so bad, and a team can't do that.
If you obviously if you do well, like you're hoping, I'm sure everything will be positive and good news stories all around. But what happens if you are more like what I'm thinking, like 7th, 8th? Maybe it's so competitive you miss out.
Yeah.
What happens to Vossi? What happens to just the plans moving forward? Because everyone, like all the key players are signed on, so like your team's going to be the same more or less. You think they'll change things up?
We haven't had a lot of turnover over the last couple of years, and players want to stay. I think the big contract this year is Tom De Koning. But yeah, it's a good question, Vossi. Like, I don't think if we don't make finals or if we're not successful in the way that we want to be this year, I don't think Vossi is going to lose his job. But he's definitely under pressure. Yeah, he's definitely under pressure. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be under pressure.
Yeah.
I think there's probably other coaches where they're really on the spotlight this year. But yeah, I think Vossi will really start to be talked about if we're not.
Yeah. Who have you got round 1?
Richmond.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The interesting thing for them, for Carlton, speaking so that's an easy start.
That's a good start.
Yeah, it is a good start. Apparently, 3rd easiest draw for Carlton.
I like it.
That's not bad.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah,
Let me guess who's number 1 and 2, Essendon and Collingwood?
No.
Come on, man.
We need all the help we can get, man.
Get out of here, man. Essendon playing like 10 games at the G to end the season or at Marvel. Get out of here, man.
And still don't make finals.
Anyway. All right. Am I up?
Yes.
I'll go
Pick 6.
Pick 6. I'm going the Pies.
Nice.
Right. Now, my thing with Collingwood is they finished just out of the 8 last year, right? However, we all know they were decimated by injuries, especially in their forward line, where their game kind of comes together with the X factor. Guys like Myercheck and basically all of their main goal scorers from the year before, bar Bobby Hill, were not there. So you mix a couple of them. I'm not even expecting like full clean health, like McStays and whatever probably won't be relied upon, but just a couple of them back mixed in with Dacos probably a man on a mission will win the Brownlow, in my opinion, because he
Has to.
he looked devastated on Brownlow night, and he's a nutcase. Like he's going to be such a gun this year. You bring in Perryman, you bring in Houston.
Yeah.
You know, their back six was under more pressure this year or last year, obviously due to more turnovers, a bit less actual good attacking play. So, yeah, I don't know. They just find ways to win. I'm not one to think that they're just going to now not be a top 8 team because of one down year when there was a clear reason why they were down. So,
Where did you have them, like, on your board? I'm
I had
curious.
them third.
Item 4th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. Yeah, I think with them...
Actually, second. I lied.
You had them second. Oh, yeah, nice. Now, look, I rate it because not only, like, we know how dominant they were 2 seasons ago. This year, they bring in, so, like, it's a small pickup, but they bring in Membry. All of a sudden, you have a depth piece if Mychek goes down, if McStay stays
forgot about
down.
him. There you
know
go.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's a marking target. I think he's still a half decent player. He can still, you know, he can do, you know, even if it's 60% or 50% of the Mychek role of bring the ball down, you know, that's pretty solid. You know what I mean? So there's that. And obviously the Houston pickup is huge. Perryman gives them another big body in the midfield. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but like 3 or 4 years ago, Perryman was playing as like a tagger for GWS and, you know, being that defensive midfielder. And he was solid at it. He was solid at the role.
Yep.
So, you know, yeah, no, I very much rate Collingwood this year. Like, I would be shocked if it's not a bounce back year, you know.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's exactly my thinking. So
They probably got a little bit of pressure to kind of keep up the winning form now. Some of their, I mean, I don't know how long Pendlebury, Sidebottom, Jeremy Howe, some of the older players can continue. I don't know if those players are risks, you know, or something that, you know, if they can't get their bodies right throughout the middle of the season, whether that affects their performance or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, like I think they're going to be pretty good. I had them top 8 as well. Yeah, I don't see just the fan base themselves is enough to get them over the line for most wins. I feel like
couple wins, yeah.
True.
I mean, guys like Pendlebury, I'm not worried about because his game's never really been about his physicality. It's more just his IQ and like his calmness on the ball and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
exactly right.
side bottom, who knows? But again, they've got a lot of other wingers, guys they can throw in there. So it's not.
Yeah.
who's coming through the ranks with Collingwood like that could get a game. There's
So-
not really a lot of young talent, is there?
Not a hell of a lot off the top of my head, but an interesting one is Reef McInnes is going to be playing key defender. Or they're trying him as a key defender, yeah. Well, I think he's like a solid 195, 196 type guy. Playing in I think he was drafted as a mid. They put him forward, and now he's playing defense. So, look, if he can hold down a key position post and help free up Darcy Moore, so Darcy Moore doesn't need to be as accountable defensively, it should be good for them. So, because I think that was kind of their weakness last year for me. A big weakness was when they're not winning the midfield battle and their defense gets peppered. Like, you know, someone like Darcy Moore can get monstered by a key forward, you know. So,
True.
So I don't know. Hopefully that dude helps them out a little bit. Can't think of the fringy type players off the top of my head. You know, we're not really in the football frame mindset.
Once
just
the games
yet.
start next week,
Exactly. We
it'll
can
be
start
easier.
remembering names. You know, I'll be rattling them off. Don't worry. Yeah. So
I think with Collingwood, my summary is if Dacos is in red hot form, they can win anything.
Yeah.
If something, God forbid, something happens to this player, they're down the drain. That's how I see them. Man.
That's a fair
actually,
point.
So Darcy Cameron as well. He had career
He had a great
best year
year.
last
Yeah, great
year.
year.
So you know he helps that middle of the ground be even more competitive. So yeah. All right.
Nice one. All right, Matzo, you're up.
Uh-huh.
7th place.
7th place. All right.
Going to round out the 8 in the next 2 picks.
Yeah. So
A lot of pressure.
maybe a few people would consider this pick, these guys slipping a little bit, and that's Hawthorn
Yeah,
at 7th.
that was my next one up
Yeah.
too.
So I had them at 5th. With them, they're the most exciting team. You know, for a neutral, I would say they're the most exciting team. You know, I think they were top 4 in the last 12 or so rounds or whatever, or maybe like I don't know the exact stats, but they killed it in the last half of the season, which bodes well for them continuing on and being good this year. But in saying that, they are still a very young side. So I can't imagine, like I had them 5th, right? But I don't think they're going to be like, you know, 1, 2, 3, like a lot of people are talking about, you know. And it's nothing really against them. It's just that, you know, remember when Freo prematurely got into the 8 and then all of a sudden we thought they were just going to keep going and keep going.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. I can see something similar happening to the Hawks, but I'm still seeing them, you know, in the higher echelon of teams.
Yeah, I mean, all last year we were just like, surely this is the week they lose. This is the
That's
week,
right.
and they just didn't. So like, you know, Matzo,
Is this when the fall comes? Is this when the regression
I don't
comes?
know. I am more like Matzo, like maybe a little bit, but not out of the 8.
Yeah.
I can't see that. Just out of respect for what they did, man. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the way they play, especially like it's a bit different to Freo. Freo was more your slow movement.
Mm.
Hawks are just like go go go. So I think they're just going to overwhelm teams,
Yeah.
and win some games like they did last year. So
Mm.
I wonder how much better they can get though, because they bring in Barris and
And battle.
Battle. Sicily's role probably changed, probably for the better.
Mm.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to bet on them being top 5 or 4 than 7, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. See, yeah. Well, I had him 5th, so I didn't want him to slip this low. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
but it is what it is.
Fair enough.
Georgie had to pick.
I had him 7th. So,
I think I wrecked it by putting Geelong first. You guys, it's weird that you guys had him 7th, 8th,
6 for me.
6th.
First is going to be a bold call for anyone other than
Yeah.
Brisbane in my mind.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Now I've got the pressure of rounding at the top 8, and I'm kind of looking at who I had there, and I'm just questioning it now. I'm going to go Freo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I wanted them
Port
to be
out of the 8.
Yeah, I have Port
Lovely.
9th.
Lovely.
Same. Did you have Port 9th as well?
Yeah, I'd like to spoil it for the next pick. But let's talk about them both at once then.
Look, Freo, they bring in Shai Bolton. That's X Factor. I was watching that Indigenous match versus Freo yesterday, and it's a bit of a scramble because players are playing everywhere. You don't know who's even. Everyone's got different numbers changed. You don't know what's going on. It's hard to follow. But some things are just a sure thing in footy. And one of them is Caleb Sarong is an absolute freak of a footballer. So you look at Sarong, Brayshaw, Hayden Young, Luke Jackson is a midfield group. You look at already pretty short defence, and then put some X factor in Shai Bolton to add to those Switkowskis and these type of players. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like they got a bit unlucky last year with a couple of games not going their way, and that could have influenced their position. I think they'd be a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So I'm only putting them 8th. It's not that crazy. They could be way better. They could be worse. We never really know. They do play some games where you're just pulling your hair out, like just kick the ball forward. What are you doing? But sometimes they do it and they're really damaging and they just pile on the goals. So what to expect from this team, you never really know. But I think they'll be pretty good, man.
It's interesting because I remember that stage where they were playing that little chippy chip style, in a game. I remember there was one game against Melbourne. They just carved them up with that stuff.
Yes.
They really did.
What do you call them? Like Frio Solana or something?
What's that?
Barcelona, like Frio Solana. What do you call them? Like
I can't remember. I do remember that I compared them to Barca Tiki Taka.
Docalona. You call them something?
I don't know if I had a phrase like that, but I did compare them to Barca, to Tiki Taka, because they're just sort of prodding their way, and then they eventually find an avenue to get towards the 50. But I don't know if they're going to do that again this year. But the exponential improvement in a guy like Tracy, all of a sudden, I feel like it just fast tracks.
Appropriately ranked in the redraft as well.
Exactly right. Over Thilthorpe. Shout out Stonky Doink. We didn't even get to Adelaide for me to shout out Stonky Doink.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. But yeah, look, him and even Jayamis as well. He's if he gets a little bit more muscle in this preseason, all of a sudden, if he's clunking contested marks as well, it's a very formidable forward line too.
Yeah, they do have some young players that, like Erasmus has been in the system for a couple of years. Nathan
Johnson.
O'Driscoll, Matthew Johnson, a couple of other players as well that could take a step forward and provide an impact for them. It's kind of hard to know what these guys are going to do, but
I think O'Driscoll had like 10 marks in the
I love that play, by the way.
Yeah, no, I feel like him specifically is your boy.
Yeah, he is
he's
my boy.
He's in like one. Like if there's a 22 of your boys, it's him.
I think he's the sub or something like that.
Or the wing. No, you could fit him on the wing.
I
surely.
could
Easy. For me, it's just will they?
pretty much.
I can't believe I haven't mentioned him till this point.
You couldn't help yourself.
I know.
Didn't take that light.
We weren't even talking about Hawks, and he had to budget in.
I know. I had to. I got to meet my Will Day quota. So Dino, is it Dino's pick?
Yeah, I had Power.
Yeah.
I actually did have them. I think
Yeah.
we all sort of had them 9th.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to lie. A lot of it is bias and hope that they do drop out. But the reality being, like, I just simply like and rate the teams above them a bit better.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced by their key forward stocks moving forward. I don't think they even are, to be honest with you. But what they do have is Butters, Rozzy, Horn Francis.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. Like, Freo's had a good couple midfielders and teams have had good, like, unit on ball for a while now and not done much with it. So...
Yeah.
Look, there's some serious X Factor players, though. I mean, what Horn
Incredible
Francis
players.
did yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Great players. And they'll be a good team, but it's a competitive league.
Yeah.
And I just think, honestly, the other teams excite me a bit more. I don't think they've done enough in the off-season to justify moving up. So, like, for me, it's either you stay where you were or you drop because other teams have improved.
Yeah.
And I'm more willing to bet on the drop. Hinkley on the way out as well. That's always a bit of a funny time.
This will definitely be his last year, huh?
Well, they said it.
They've said it. Yeah,
Josh Carr's going to take over in a year's time. So, I don't know. That's a bit of a funny thing. Usually, Port sort of get galvanised every time Hinkley's about to get sacked. So maybe it'll work out for him. But
maybe.
That's true.
Now he can't really use that because they know he's leaving. So maybe it just
true.
won't happen.
Yeah. Look, I think with them, a lot falls on the shoulders of Georgiadis in that forward line. Unless Lukosius all of a
he's
sudden,
the other one.
Yeah, but we don't really rate him. He's just tall Jaden Stevenson. Like unless all of a sudden he can take a game by the scruff of the neck and not just score cheapies. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a bit to be desired in that forward line.
Yeah.
So Willie Rowley is solid in there. Actually, I will say this right now that I'm thinking about their forward line more. I like the Richards pickup and I like the Joe Berry pickup. Because there's a clear vision that they wanted some small forwards, around there. But do they have the keys to, help facilitate those, small forward crumbing goals up? I don't know.
I also, what influenced me too was I've got a mate that lives in SA, goes for the Power, and I sort of asked him, what do you reckon of your guys this year? And he didn't seem optimistic. So if a Port fan at this time of the year can't show me some optimism, why should I be optimistic for them? So
fair enough.
That sort of pushed them down a couple spots.
Yeah. All right. So pick 10. So I'm looking at my list now and I'm in between two teams.
It's a hard one.
It is a hard one, but I'm going to go for these guys just because despite my rivalry with the supporter base, I do like the team and it's Adelaide. So with them, I love their pickups. I love the Cumming pickup. I like the Peatling pickup and Neil Bullen. They are all just role player type guys. Peatling, who knows? Maybe he goes beyond that. Maybe he goes into a star of the competition. We don't know. But yeah, the midfield depth is exciting for them, and you got enough X factor guys like Jordan Dawson and Rankin to get you guys some wins. Thilthorpe. You would expect him to, if he's fit, you'd expect him to improve. Like what he did at the end of last year was pretty amazing. But just not enough to sneak past those top 8 teams. It's such a competitive year. How can you fit them all?
And they haven't played finals in long enough for us to. It's not like picturing it. Like having them there above Freo, it's kind of hard until they do it. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did it.
Well, the thing is probably the expectation is finals for them now. Like they've been out for long enough.
If you're a Crows fan, absolutely, man. They missed out just the year before last.
Yeah.
With that errant behind goal. So now you're thinking last year was disappointing, but they have a clear sign forward now, like Matt said. So it's kind of, if I was being honest, I can see them flipping with any team in that sort of 5 to 8 position. But because we haven't seen it, you'd be kind of silly to predict it.
Yeah, well, it's going to be hard for them to make it, as we've talked about. But the expectation for them is that they do it somehow.
Yeah,
which I think they can, but they could also not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look,
a couple of these teams now is you just don't really know what's going to come from them.
Yeah, I think the only teams that they could steal their top 8 position is Freo, and if Carlton, I feel like Carlton would be boom or bust. You know what I mean? I feel like they could go either way. They could slide from top 4 to 10th, and you don't know.
Hawks could drop a bit as well. Like if they have that down before they go back up. So there's some room in there, but they're gonna have to be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
To not get caught in the cat fight, which they probably will be in that dog fight.
Yeah, and speaking of dogs.
Dog fight. Speaking of dogs, Georgie's up. I don't know.
Am I up?
Is that a segue or nah? You got someone else there?
Gold Coast.
Oh, you ruined my segue.
You always go higher on the Suns than any of us, man. Explain yourself.
Well, what are we even up to in number?
I think this is
11.
That's 11.
They've never finished higher than 12th.
So you're predicting a huge year for the Suns' history.
I actually, I'm always bullish about the Suns and it always comes back in my face, but I'm just going to do it again because why not?
Fair.
New captain, Anderson. Yeah. I like the way he's talking about the team and the growth under Dimmer. Rioli coming in. It's just one player, but I don't know. He probably fits the system well. I don't know, man. There's definitely natural improvement from these players. How many top 10 draft picks have they had over the last couple of years? I don't know which ones are going to come up, to be honest, but one of them or a couple of them should get a lot of game time and should improve. I mean, it's dewy conditions up there, mate. They get a couple of wins early in the year. They always do. And that should start them off. They just need to win games away from home. That's the simplest equation ever.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that easy to do, but that's just what they need to do.
Here's the problem, though, and everything you said was very logical. But they just constantly defy logic as a franchise, as a team. Like, I can't believe in them over a few other teams that I have. Because I had them a bit lower, to be honest, not just one spot, like a couple spots lower.
Yeah. Okay.
Just purely out of every year, there's so much on paper to love about this team. And every year, something happens. Last year, they couldn't win away from home. The year before, there'd be another excuse, injuries or whatever, or just inexplicable bad losses. Like, no consistency. I agree with you. They should be around here.
Do you back in the Hardwick though, like to get him going?
I don't
consistently?
think Hardwick is this god level coach, to be honest.
No, but it doesn't have to be god level. It just has to be.
But like in consideration of him going there means, well, yeah, surely Hardwick's there. Because think about it, he was there at Richmond for how long?
Yeah.
And look at the tier of players that carried them to the cup. Like Dustin Martin, one of the best of all time. Your Rewalts and so forth. Like that was a very good team of players, experienced at the right time, and he's a good coach. But I don't think he's like, well, he's there so naturally. Surely he's going to have the players have to carry, and I don't know which of those players are good enough to drag them up the ladder. Like Anderson's very good, but he's also like good one week, not so good the next at times. Yeah. So I'm not sure personally, but you're right in everything you said.
Actually, I kind of like him. To be honest,
I know you like them. Yeah. This isn't news to anybody that has watched
I'm
this
actually
podcast.
quite bullish on them. I would love to see them make the top 8, man. It'd be unbelievable.
Their list is stacked. I'll give you that.
It's pretty stacked, man.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good list.
I think,
and they got rid of Rory Atkins finally, and that's just like whenever you saw that on the 22, you get sick in the stomach.
Yeah,
and he's gone now.
Yeah,
So,
and it's replaced by Noble, right?
Yeah, John Noble. That's right.
I give it 6 weeks before you're down on him again.
It could be even less, man.
Yeah, look.
I hope you're right. It would be fun.
Yeah,
I've got a sense, and I've got no information to back this up, but I've got a sense that the team is galvanizing, and they're growing together, and they're backing each other in. And I think when they find problems during the game, they're going to be able to find a way to work together to overcome them. And I think that's going to result in a couple more wins.
I feel like your argument here is I think that they're going to win more games and they're going to go like.
That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
But there's no. It's just very. I don't know. It feels like circular logic.
No, it's
like I think they're going to win more games because they've just got the ability to win more games this year.
What I said is they're galvanized. There is a group that have grown together, and this is even what they've talked about in the off season. And I think they're going to be able to solve some of those problems in game due to just being together for a long time and finally maturing. I think they've got it.
Hey, look, I feel like I like it. We're predicting them to be what 12th. So it's like we can't
it's not that crazy.
It's not even that crazy. So
I'm not even fighting for them to be in the top 8. But I'd love to see it.
We can get off your case a little bit. Or it was 11th. They're 11th.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So this is still would be their best season ever.
Yeah.
And why would it not be their best season ever?
Yeah. No. Look, there's no reason why they should fall off. Their list has gotten better. Like who'd they lose? Lukosius. We don't really care about him.
No.
It's. I think it's fair, man. I think it's fair. But yeah, anyway, Dino next.
Also, they got a new jersey, man.
Hey, did you see the pink as well?
Rebrand.
Yeah. I actually think the pink looks pretty tough, man. Not gonna lie.
That's the gather round one.
The gather round pink's good. The rest, the yellow one, the taxi driver.
Are we
one?
playing them that game?
Yeah, we get to verse them in the pink. So the sledging that's gonna happen during that game is gonna be crazy.
Interesting.
But yeah. What was the other kid? There was a yellow and blue or something. The taxi driver one.
Yeah, yellow and blue.
The main one's just more red than anything, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
red on red.
Red on red.
Fair enough. Needs more red.
Look,
that was in the meeting.
So they can run faster.
Maybe rebrand, new year, new me. I don't know.
Maybe
there's something in that.
Yeah,
I think there is, man.
Yeah,
I'm conjuring it.
Yeah, we're gonna see players with new haircuts. You know what I mean? They're embracing the new.
They need to go bold.
Yeah, true. Like bald Chera.
All
of them are bald Chera.
Ben King, bold.
Ben King, I couldn't imagine. That would be scary looking bloke.
If you do that, it means you mean business.
I agree. Nah, it's...
You know what? This is where I'll actually start to agree with you a little bit more. Jed Walter, my favourite player from that draft. King.
Come on, man.
The forward line should improve.
Yeah. Sam Collins is a great fullback.
Yeah.
He's up there in all Australian
Trick Miller
talks
had an
every year.
injury sort of battled year last year. If he can come back to closer to his best.
Yeah, a little cheeky Lombard in there. Yeah,
Matt Rowell contract, he might leave at the end of the year.
Yeah, but look, contract year, he's going to go crazy.
Maybe.
He had an incredible first half of the year.
Yeah, you did. You did too.
Right.
I feel like that's a lot of Gold Coast
That's
talk.
more than enough Suns talk.
For the 3 Gold Coast Suns fans, you're welcome.
They're taking receipts though. Those Gold Coast fans. They're going to come back at the
So
end
what
of
are
the
we
year.
up to now? So we're
12th.
12. There's 18 teams. Hey, you got to stuff it. North. Here's the thing, right? North is next. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm sick and tired.
Oh my gosh!
I'm sick and tired of giving the Suns credit. What have they done to deserve the love? And North can't get any at 13.
No, look,
we haven't even said the Dogs.
that's
yet,
the
man.
part that gets me because I was going to pick him next.
Stuff the Dogs.
You just wanted to pick him ahead of me, bro.
Correct. No, you know what? Stuff the Dogs.
Yeah.
They're a disappointment city. And I'm tipping with a bit of love here. And
Yeah.
my one and only argument is this.
Yeah.
The time has to come at some point, and I'm going to be the one to predict it earlier than
But
later.
that's what I just said about Gold Coast, and you gave me
But
shit.
stuff the Gold Coast. We've been rebuilding for longer than them, man. It seems like they've been more of a
I don't
serious
think that's
finals
true.
a finals threat they've been for the last 5 years, and they haven't delivered.
Yeah.
I'm not fancying us for finals. I'm just saying this is the year where the step up happens.
I agree. You guys will step up for sure.
Just over the Dogs. That's my only thing with this.
Well,
But
you
I
know
mean,
what?
there's some other teams that people would argue as well.
Well, how many wins gets you this spot on the ladder, right? Let's have a look.
Yeah, I
Give
don't
me
know.
1 second.
I don't know.
whilst-
Probably a lot.
whilst-
I've got it open.
It was only like one game that
13.
separated 8th.
It's going to make me do math now.
Anyway, whilst you're doing that, I will say this with North, right? Dino and I, both North supporters, we love them. And look, I think the midfield depth is exceptional. We've got the best ruck in the game, or maybe second best, depending on who you ask. All of a sudden, the wings are going to be Finn O'Sullivan, Bailey Scott, and McKercher, sort of rotating through. Finn O'Sullivan already looks like a serious player, right? Already looks like a serious player. McKercher lit up the intra-club. We'll see what he does in games against actual players, and can he be as prolific? Look, to be honest, the way I see McKercher is that he's like a faster version of Zach Merritt, to be honest with you. I think he's got more dash and more speed. Is he as good a kick? Probably, maybe not. Is he as good tackle pressure-wise? Probably not, because that's what I love that about Merritt. But if you've got that type of player out on the wing, and on the inside, it's Sheasel, Rolls Royce of a player. He's like Josh Kelly and some, in my opinion. That's the type of player he's going to be. LDU he's a gun. When he turns it on, he's a gun. Jai Simpkin, we saw what he did in the Eels last game. There's enough there, man. And I think Darling helps us this year. Even though he might not score a lot of goals, he's going to free up Cam Zerha. He's going to free up Nick Larkey. So there's plenty to be excited about.
I just had a look at the last 2 years. Around this part of the ladder is 10, 11 wins, right?
How many did you win last year?
Like three.
That's a big jump up.
It is, however, and I agree with you. It is predicting more sudden growth, not like a linear. Now we're bottom 4. Now we're bottom 6. Now we're bottom. I'm predicting we're moving from bottom 4 to that next one up, and optimistically the upper echelon of the next one up. Right now, 3 wins all in the second half of last year, with a narrow loss to Collingwood that we should have won. We're up by 7 goals.
Yeah.
A narrow loss to the D's. Could easily have been 5 wins in just one half of the year. So I'm basically predicting that second half of the year is replicated in the first half of the year. And instead of losing those 1 or 2 close games, you maybe win 1 or 2 more. Mind you, and we lost to the Eagles in Tassie, which we shouldn't have in the second half. So it could have been easily 6 wins in one half of the year last year.
Yeah.
So that's really, I'm basing it off of that, plus natural progression of a stacked list of young players that inevitably, with a fit list, which we have minus Wardlaw, everyone else is fit. So I think we have a much better chance to start the year, win 3 before the bye, or 4, and then finish strong again. And there you go. You're already kind of there.
Yeah.
So the Dogs thing, look, I get it. We're probably not going to finish up on top of the Dogs. However, if we come out round 1 and beat the Dogs,
Yeah.
then what?
Are you round 1 up against them?
Round 1.
We are.
They love to verse you guys.
Well, here's the
They
thing.
do.
You say
They
that, and
do.
I agree with you. We played them twice last year. Got pumped in the second last game of the year when we had mines were in Bali planning our hotels. A few weeks before that, we played them and we lost by 18 points. Ugly game. No one remembers it because it was a boring ass game to watch. But I was there and we only lost by 18. And we played like trash that game. So, again, why isn't that a winnable game?
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah, we forget about the pickup of Caleb Daniel. We haven't mentioned that yet. All of a sudden, the ball use going forward is him, Kirch, Fino.
And rewind to, again, I know we say like no one predicted the Hawks to get this good. But even rewind further back. Collingwood, bottom 4 team, launched up.
Yeah.
Brisbane, bottom 4 for years, launched up. The linear growth for me is actually not what I want. I want it to be actually more dramatic. And I think it's possible, but no one will take it seriously until they see it and be like,
Yeah.
fuck, that was bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, to predict it is tough.
To predict it is silly.
Yeah, it
to be
is.
honest.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is like, well, okay, then you look at Hawthorn, you don't know what to make of it because it's confusing. North's would actually make more sense than Hawthorn's. We've got way more talent on the list by draft picked and so forth. Like
That's
they
fair.
don't have a Sheasel caliber midfielder on their list.
No, like the closest thing they have
LDU?
is
Will they?
Yeah. Sheasel and your LDUs are better than any Hawthorn midfielder.
Yeah,
Right?
no, I
So
agree.
Yep.
from my perspective, it would be less shocking. I can understand the, rest of the league looking like no way, but it's not ridiculous in my mind. Now the Dogs probably shift in one spot, but my heart is my heart. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
Look, I
basically,
think no doubt North Melbourne will get better, and I think they'll take a couple of scalps. They can play some dangerous football, but I just think when you look at the ladder, you look at the whole season, and it's very hard to play consistent football for the whole season, especially when you've got a young team. And I just think that's the areas where teams can show. We've seen even Hawks of previous years, North of previous years, they have such a good, promising start to the season and they just fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And that's when you can just go bang, 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 bang to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's hard to finish 12th. And also because it's such an even competition, some of the teams that we're going to mention now
correct.
are all going to be vying for the 8.
Well, here's the thing as well, and that's where this is my counter argument to that though, is you mean to tell me as a general AFL fan, North can't be as good as the Saints were just last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
they can.
No, that's
They
true.
were trash most of the year. We can, but still finished with that 10 or so wins. Like,
Yeah.
in my mind, like that's completely and totally realistic as a next step up. Like Adelaide's been in that weird spot out of the 8 but not bottom 4 for a few years now.
Yeah.
We expect them to be a bit better, but why can't we join that category of team, which isn't a good team? It's like, okay, you win some easy games, you maybe take a scalp here and there. Adelaide beats you out of nowhere. It's totally possible. And I think that's the bracket I'm sort of eyeing off. Like, forget finals. Get out of the bottom 4 and don't be like 5th last.
Yeah.
Be just that little bit above that. Show some more sudden growth. I'll be wrapped. And I think the list sort of moves to that as a goal rather than a bottom 4 finish, in my opinion.
That's fair. Look, I feel like you got a lot off your chest there, Dana.
No, I'm sick of it, man, because I talk footy a lot, right?
Yeah,
I'm getting laughed at by my brother. He's probably listening.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I mentioned just a
he's-
humble
he-
goal of like 7-8 wins and I'm getting laughs. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? No. As a Hawthorn fan as well, you just watched your team defy all odds and finish essentially top 4 out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and you can't see it happening for another team. Why
Yeah,
not?
No, that's fair. That's fair. No, look, no. So this is just really an FU to your brother.
No, I love my brother.
All right, I'll move on. I'm picking the Dogs, and now look. So we ended up with them pick 13, the Dogs as a 13th on the ladder. My thing with them, and this is where I can slightly justify our selecting him there, is maybe they're just a little bit shaken up by the whole Jamara situation. This is their star boy. You know what I mean? Maybe they've got to very easily, they're going to replace him pretty easily with Darcy in the end. But still, I think it might be playing in the players' minds a little bit. Where's the culture at? Bevo's the coach, and he's just he's a bit of a maverick coach. Just random stuff happening with him all the
Talk
time.
about a player, a coach that's on the hot seat.
Oh yeah. Look, if they don't make top 8, I'd sack him, to be honest with you,
Same.
because the amount of talent that's on that list is it's huge.
Well, if this prediction even just bump them up one, which, to be honest, that's where I originally had them.
Same.
That even is sackable. Like,
I agree.
forget between like laughing about North being on top of them. Like any of those positions is sackable.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, even Bont, like his contract talk is going to be an interesting one this year if he doesn't sign early, because that's the captain. And does he trust the next couple of years that Western Bulldogs are going to make something of themselves? So this is a team that's very hard to predict, because we always talk about their talented forwards and their star-studded midfield, but they just, like some of the other teams we've talked about in this area, like Adelaide and these type of teams, they just don't produce on their talent.
Well, I don't know where they go from here, because they willingly get rid of Daniel and McRae. Jamara, situation's shaky. Trelaw's starting the season injured. Liam Jones starting the season out.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're looking at it like Darcy, what a talent. Like, he's going to be unreal this year.
man.
He's going to be unreal.
The
I'm
little
looking forward
bits
to watching
that I
him.
watched on the Essendon in the match sim, oh my god.
He's unreal. Bont's unreal, obviously. Libba. There's obviously heaps of talent there. But they're equally susceptible to a drop, in my opinion. A lot of youngsters, a lot of shuffling of role. There's nothing about them that screams any sort of assurance in my end. Like,
I agree with that.
which is partly the reason. I mean, we'll get to the round 1 tips the week before round 1, but There's a couple outs there. I've got my eyes set on the Dogs round 1 for a bit of an early scalp.
It's a good time to get him.
It's a very good time to get him. A bit of revenge from last year.
Mm.
You know,
Fair.
just don't lose by 100 North again, please.
Yeah, no. I can't start the season like that, man.
It's not going to happen. Anyway.
All right, next pick is pick 14, I believe.
Mine?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ugh. I've got a list, a name there, but I kind of feel like not going for him.
Well, I know what it is.
Say it so
know
I
what
don't
it is.
need to, please. I don't want to say their name.
I'm not going to. The way this is gone, I'm actually not going to pick him. I'm just going to go Melbourne.
Okay.
Okay, all right. That's not too crazy.
No. I had the D's there too.
All right. So with Melbourne, I think they're a little bit hard to predict for a couple of reasons. I don't know what Petrarca's going to come back like. I don't know what Oliver's going to come back like. Cozzy Pickett explicitly said that he's leaving.
He pretty much said, "I'll do my time in Melbourne like it's a prison."
Like what? That's crazy. I mean, we're used to players just speaking in riddles. Oh, I'll wait the year out. You know, I'll let my football do the talking. He's like, yeah, I'm out at the end of the year, bruv. See you later.
Yeah, nah, that's no good, man. That's not a good
they
look.
lose Neil Bullen, who's not like a crazy player, but he's a role player. I just feel like there's some question marks on a couple of their main guys. Petrarca and Oliver could come out and just dominate. And, you know, we're all good. But just because of, I don't know exactly what to expect from this team, I've put them lower. They could be a very good team. But I'm not super excited by Melbourne. They've drafted some nice midfielders. They'll come in and play some football this year and bring some excitement. I don't know, man. They've got some rock solid players, as we know. May, Lever, Gorn, these type of players. But I don't know if there's enough there of star power and consistent players to kind of make a top 8 run.
Yeah. Well, no, they finished 14th last year in the end, man.
That's right.
So teams like Suns, Saints finished above them.
Yeah.
And we're looking at them, we're thinking, okay, Petrarca should be back, Oliver should be better. But the rest of their team, in my opinion, hasn't gotten better. And you're relying on a lot of burden on just few players, in my opinion. So, no, I think it's appropriate for them. They don't deserve much more love than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough.
They would have won, if Petrarca played, they would have won an extra 2 games, maybe 3 last year, potentially. So he's that impactful of a footballer, but that's not finals.
No, far from it. Far from it.
All right, Dana, you're gonna have to take one for the team.
There's 2 teams here that I don't care for, and I'm sorry to a couple of loyal fans of the pod. You know who you are.
Well, there's only 2 teams left to choose from, really.
Correct. The bottom 2, I think we're all aligned.
Yeah.
So it's between 2. I'm going to go the Saints.
Look, this is our most consistent gag that we've had. I know.
Well, no, look, in all honesty, the Saints for me, I think it was funny last year when King went down, their forward line got more dynamic, which is concerning for them. However, that version of their forward line actually excites me a little bit. You got your smaller forwards roving around, Owens and Butlers and whatever. Philippe, all these guys. Like, that's actually kind of fun. Yeah. So if they can figure it out and just channel a bit more of that for a little bit longer, you got your midfield's being reinforced with McRae. Hopefully he can bring it back a little bit. Jack Steele, you know how much I love him as well.
Oh, yeah, Dino, big Jack Steele fan.
You know, Sinclair, Wangan Miller, I had him as my surprise AA.
He looks
for next year.
amazing too. He had a great game last night.
I've got him as a shout for AA, which if they finish this low, probably not. But there's a lot to like there. I just think they're in and amongst that rabble of teams that's going to be fighting it out for the top 8. They're just clearly, in my opinion, not on the upper end of that. So naturally they're here. But last year, this place on the ladder still had a chunk of wins. What did they... Yeah, so like 10, 11 wins. Maybe I'm predicting 9, 10. Which is still sort of this position of the ladder, but I can't see them doing more than last year overall.
I don't think they've had a very good preseason though, like injuries wise. Their players are underdone.
Might be a slow start, and then they like last year they picked it up at the end, got a few more interesting wins, but it was too late. So
there is a few interrupted preseasons off the top of my head. Like Marshall has a pelvic stress fracture or something, pelvic bone stress fracture, whatever that is. Sinclair, he's touch and go for round 1. King had a little bit of a scare, but I think he's all right. There's enough uncertainty in that team, and they haven't really. Like McRae's a good pickup. I think he'll be good for them. But like, does he transform a team? Probably not.
Philippe out as well.
Misses the first month or so. He's the one I was probably, and this is a little super coach day to it. He was the one I was most excited about for super coach. Is Philippe. And when people started talking about not having him in, I was like, freaking ready to go. I was happy, because he might have been a slight pod with randoms not picking him. But yeah, so he misses. That sucks. The one that's interesting for me is, so you've got Max King. Membry left last year. I don't know. Are they playing Caminiti forward? Are they playing Raoul Marshall forward and letting Bond play in the ruck? Like how are they dealing with this key position dilemma? They've lost Dougal Howard in the defense, and he even though they didn't like him, they tried to get. They lost battle. They tried to get rid of Dougal Howard, and they couldn't. And then they're like, okay, you're gonna have to. You're our best key defender now. We've got to keep you. Now it's just like what? It's just Wilkie and Schoenmaker in the defense. Like it's shaky, bro. It's very
the key
shaky.
position stocks aren't obvious, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think in the forward line, at least, they should just channel what actually makes them good, which is the more small forward centered forward line.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Defense, I'm not sure, but they're usually structured well enough under Ross Lyon to deal with that, even with a smaller defense. So for me, it's more just uncertain start to the year, and then just getting stuck in that middle pack of teams that I don't think they have enough star power to, like some of those other teams do, in my opinion. So anyway.
All right, so our next pick, shout out to Zumi. We've got Essendon here. Look, I think 50-50, this is us not believing in them footballing wise, and the other 50% is us just hating them. I think it's just a long-standing joke on the pod is
I think we said with Essendon, like, until we see it, we don't believe
And
it.
here's the thing with them, and this is where the bias goes out for me. The reality of what happened last year was they had a red carpet rolled out for them, chauffeured to finals, potentially even top 4. Like, if they were just somewhat consistent, top 4 wasn't even that far off.
Yeah.
And they not only don't make finals, like we joked about it earlier, they played most of their games in Melbourne for like 2 months to end the year, if not all of them. So for me, if you can't do that, I don't know what's changed from last year to this year to suggest that all of a sudden you will do that. And I'm assuming their fixture isn't as friendly.
Yeah.
So if
so.
someone can tell me, if you're a Bombers fan a bit offended, like tell me exactly why when you lose a 40-goal attacker in Stringer, who maybe you didn't like overall because he was inconsistent, tell me who's stepping up. You might say Caddy, fine, but he's still young. I can't see much growth, and therefore you're stuck in this pack again, and you're on the bottom end of it. It's pretty simple. I'm not suggesting you're going to be like you can't win a game like North or Richmond last year. You're going to be better than that, but you're stuck in this spot. I can't see you getting out of it.
I haven't spoken about this in a while, but they have the 5th hardest draw as well.
There you go. So,
which, yeah. So, look, and with them, I don't know. I think you're relying on a few young guys to step it up. You're relying on Sardis. You're relying on maybe like a Caldwell to bring it up. But even then, they don't have like a big-bodied, scary midfielder. They got Merritt, but they're all just the same type of blokes in there. Just smaller dudes who can win a bit of ball, but not really single-handedly dominate a game.
This is the thing. So if they pop up right and they beat Freo with the G early in the season, like great win, you know, but then they'll lose to Adelaide in Adelaide, like those typical ones you pencil in for a loss. Most of the time they lose them, right? So Hawks at the G, they'll probably lose. There's all these games against equal or teams slightly better than them where I can't see them winning enough of them to rise up the ladder, which is what they'll need to do because it's those middle teams again. Like, for me, we know the story with the Bombers.
Yeah.
Promise, probably early season form, and then they're going to drop off. And then what? I don't know. I don't see it. No disrespect. I actually like a lot of their players. Like, I really like Caddy. I like Kako. They've got some really exciting younger mid, like Durham's. I like Durham a lot.
Had a great year.
I like Merritt a lot.
Archie Perkins.
It's actually not a hate on their current players. It's more just this big giant team that just is constantly so inconsistent and fails. Like, that's boring to me, to be honest. Like,
and Brad Scott is the coach.
And Brad
too.
Scott, just the snake of a coach.
But his press conferences when they lose is incredible, though. So
it's the best thing ever.
True. At least we're going to get that little entertainment there. We've got 2 more picks.
Right.
I think
we'll just speed run these ones. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to go West Coast over Richmond. They got a bit more experience, Liam Baker, these type of players, and more so, I just think Richmond is so inexperienced and going to play so many youngsters that I can't see them. I can't see them going over West Coast.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You could probably talk about these 2 teams together, to be honest, but
look,
I don't see West Coast being a good team. If some of their senior bodies stand up, then they can take a couple of scalps and play better football like they did last year. But if they're not second last, then or last, I'll go who.
Yeah,
no, fair enough. It's they've sucked the love out of the game of like Tim Kelly. Sort of shows where they're at, to be honest with you. They're not going to be playing good football. I think their bottom 5, 6, 7, 8 of that best 22, they're all kids. They're all just random kids. And even them, they're experienced dudes. They're solid. Like, they got some decent experienced dudes, but they're old. Like, they're proper old. Gov is old, Yo, and he's not even going to be playing at the start of the season. Yeah. Tim Kelly's getting up there. It's just,
I think we have to give the Eagles the edge. I mean, last year they won 5 games, despite how bad they were, right? So even if they just do that, they'll definitely not come last. Richmond ain't winning that many games. So
no, they won't.
And then there's Richmond, who
look fun year for them.
It is a fun year.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly
as a North
right.
fan, to be honest with you, like, having all these youngsters, that's why me and Matza still go to the games. You see Shees will do something incredible. You start getting excited. McKercher runs up the wing, bounces the ball 10 times. Like, you'll see some fun stuff from all the young players, and I'll be watching closely as a draft fan. But you're not going to win many games, and that's okay. That's not the goal. There's no false expectation like there was in previous years. You know what you are. Enjoy it. Get the number 1 pick. But yeah, that's okay. You're not going to win. You're not going to win a lot.
I think Richmond fans, because there's no pressure, no expectations, will enjoy this year.
They'll enjoy it.
And I think, as you said, I think football fans are going to enjoy seeing 5 or 6 draft picks.
The 18,000 that still rock up to the games will enjoy it, and that's it.
And look, for them, they've had their fun. Like, honestly, they had like what?
100%, man.
They had, what was it, three premierships?
Yeah.
They've had their fun. Now, like, they're having, it's a different type of fun, but it's
when you've won
still
flags
cool.
and then you bottom out, that's okay.
That's how you
When
should
you're
do it.
when you're like North and then you've been bottom 4, like Eagles as well have done it like that, and so forth. Hawthorn. When you're like North, you haven't won since '99. The best thing is like a prelim or 2. It hurts.
Yeah,
it's been a long
exactly.
time.
Yeah.
But you guys just enjoy. You got your flags. Enjoy the rebuild. All fun and games.
That's it. Well, anyway, how long did that go for in the end? That was a
Little while. Probably
while.
wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's nice to get back into it, and see you on the next video.
Enjoy the preseason.
That's it.
Bye-bye.